A big thank you for coming today. It's my job now to have, 45 minutes I think I've got to try and get over my philosophy on, not so much philosophy, but my views on coaching. Any parents here today? Yes? Proud parents?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a proud parent because my son is my third son is graduating in June in Scotland, which is the best places for university because it's free. I've got a son that's graduated from Seoul University, which I had to pay quite a bit for, and he's still paying for it the rest of his life. So it doesn't end, parents, when they actually graduate and then clear off. It doesn't end. So we've got that to come. Any coaches here?
Yes.
Coaches? Right. Any managers? Any leaders? Yeah, very good. There's a couple at the back there say leaders. Now, when I'm looking at being a leader, I class myself now as a manager as a leader. I think there's a big distinction between a coach and a leader, and I'll try and explain what I feel with that. I was coming down the plane today, and the headlines on the Times was Steel Chief condemns UK's lazy managers. And I thought, well, perhaps that's in business, not quite relevant in the sporting world, but I hate the word lazy. I hate when people say you're lazy, not so much if he's out of work or whatever, but lazy in your job. I hate that, because as a coach, you cannot afford to be lazy. You must be proactive. You must be have bags of energy. And energy is a word I use a lot, because I feel if you give people energy, you lead. If you lead, and to be a leader, you must have followers. You must have people that are going to follow you. But if you show that leadership spirit, they will follow you. My first son, who actually dropped out of Glasgow University, was 50 points short of getting his honours degree, but got mixed up with the wrong kind of people and everything else like that. He's now a captain in the army, and he's been out in Iraq and been out in Afghanistan. And he doesn't tell his mother, but he told me one or two things that happened because his mother's. So he says, I had a multiple, which is like a group of people behind me, and we had to go into this compound. So I went into this compound, and I was like, just leading them. And generally, the first thing is you send somebody else in first. But because he was a second lieutenant and in control, in command of this multiple, he had to go in first. Now, he never told me what happened inside, and he never will do. But he actually had to go in first because he felt he was the leader. Now, that's different to coaching basketball and coaching football, because you go in there with your life on the line. But he said, I'm a leader, bang, 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 we're going. Well, he didn't go bang, 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 he didn't tell me that, but he went in, and everybody else followed him. So, like father, like son in many respects, and you obviously admire him for that, but he chose to go first. And if you go first, if you lead, then people will follow you. And that's at every level, whether it be young kids, or whether it be adults or players. I'm just going to say something to you now. I want you to choose. There's 3 candidates. Some of you may have heard this before. The first candidate, we'll get a vote here, what candidate you would pick for a job, or you would pick to be the best. The first candidate was associated with witch doctors and astrologists. He had 2 mistresses, and his wife was a lesbian. It's true. He smoked a lot and drank 8 to 10 martinis a day. That's the first candidate. The second candidate, and these are all within a certain time span, quite a while ago. The second candidate never managed to hold down a job because of his arrogance. He slept the whole morning and used opium at school. He was a bad student. He drank a glass of brandy every morning. Sounds like my kind of man, actually, but there we are. And candidate C, he was decorated a hero, a vegetarian. He did not smoke and was renowned for his great discipline. He occasionally drank a beer, but he stayed with the same woman during moments of glory and defeat. Who likes candidate A? Who likes candidate B? Well, the glass of brandy, did that attract you to brandy? And who's candidate and who likes candidate C? I'll ask them. Does everybody know this? Everybody heard this before? Do you know who candidate A was? Candidate A, his wife was a lesbian, was Teddy Roosevelt. Candidate B, who drank the brandy, was Winston Churchill. And candidate C, that most people went for, was Adolf Hitler. So it just shows you, leaders are made up of different attributes. So that was surprising for people, it surprised me anyway. But it's about leading. You've got to, for me, sport and coaching is about leadership, showing the right qualities to be a leader, showing people good examples and showing people energy as well. And also the other day, did you see the playoff, one of the playoffs, the League One playoffs? Peterborough beat MK Dons. And Darren Ferguson said in the dressing room at Peterborough, they had all pictures of Old Trafford. Now that's for those of you who don't know football, that's Manchester United's ground. That's where the playoff final is going to be to get up the division. So they had pictures of that all around. So that was in the players' minds, in their subconscious minds, about, you know, well, that's what it's going to be, that's what we're going to go. And if you put these thoughts and these processes into players' minds, I'm telling you what, it's unbelievable. And I'm a massive, massive believer. I've learned more in the last year of my coaching career, or my leadership career, at Inverness County, Thistle in Scotland. I've learned in all the rest of the time put together. I'm 52, I've learned in my 52nd year much, much more, and it's all to do with the mind more than anything else. Coaches can get organisation, they can get techniques, they can get drills, they can put in practice. But when it comes to matches, when it comes to the real nitty-gritty, it's up here where the battle's won first, more than down below. Players can have ability, but a player of less ability who's switched on can beat that player with ability. So, to show you some of the techniques, I've learned of a guy, there's a guy called David Yeoman that I know in Glasgow, and I first introduced to him through George Burley, and it can be a bit intense, but some of the things he says are just excellent, really good. Let's go on to the first one. So, desired state. This is what you want to be in a desired state. And he said to me, give me a call before you go on doing your lecture today to get into the desired state to give a lecture. I tried, but he's an answer phone. He wasn't up. I'm going to get myself in a desired state. So you're in a present state, but to get to the desired state, you've got to do all kinds of things. You've got to train your mind and be yourself. Perception of the problem. So you know what the problem is. You know how to deal with it. Plan a course of action and get yourself in that desired state. And when I give team talks, I give quite interesting team talks at Inverness County. And I've got a couple of them I'll show you later on, where I've got to get myself worked up to go in and speak to people. But if you just go in flat, you're going, right, we're playing so-so today. They've got this, they've got that. He's good here, he's good there. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. You know, good luck. Everybody's going to go, phew. So I try and do different things, and my coaches look at me and they say, what's he going to say now? So I don't really go over it with them. I work it out myself, work out and do things. And it's quite interesting what I do, and I'll do one or two things later on, but I've got to get in that desired state to get there. So you've got to train yourself, to be ready for it. Now this is what we did last year, and I've had, he's been with me really for 2 years, but this year was the principal thing. Lots of things that we did at Inverness County Thistle. We've had a fantastic 2 years because I think because we've got into players' minds and really focused them on what they have to do. Know thyself. Harvard Business School, yeah. So you've got to know your capabilities, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know what's good about you, what's good about how you can project things. And it's about the energy of projecting. I like to walk about sometimes and talk to people. I like to talk to people, point fingers, shout at people. Sit down beside them and just put an arm around them and say, what do you think? Sometimes I get my captain to come up and he'll say what winning means to him today. I get the goalkeeper up and I'll say, what are you going to do today to ensure that we win? Things like this. So you're bringing the player out and you're making it very emotional output from the player. So the players say, when we win today, it's not if we win, when we win today, I'm going to celebrate because it's my 50th game, or because it's my 3rd shutout, or because we've reached X number of points, or because we are progressing, we've got 3 match unbeaten run, all these kinds of things. What does it mean to you? But as a leader, you have to say things first. You have to say things first. And recently, we've beaten a certain team in Scotland called Celtic. And all the Rangers fans at the airport today will just come up and shake me by the hand, and all the Celtic fans are like, bastard, and all that sort of thing. So, you know which in Scotland's quite nice. So, once again, it's the 2nd time it's happened in my managerial career. I've enabled Rangers, well, my team's enabled Rangers to win the championship. So, what I did before the game, and it's ESPN, so ESPN have the cameras, they sometimes like the cameras in the dressing room. So I thought, normally I'd go, yes, great, I like that. I thought, no, I'm not going to have that today because I'm doing an experiment. It's something I wanted to do because of the game had been put off so many times. I kept these balloons in my drawer. Not these very balloons, but balloons in the drawer. So I thought, right, that's what I'm going to do. So I've got a balloon, and I give everybody in the 18 players at stripped a balloon. And everybody, my coaches are like, oh my God. So I said, right, and they're all different, they're the long balloons and the small balloons and the big ones. I said, right, blow them up. So some of our players couldn't even blow a balloon up. So get the balloon blown up, and one of the players had a very strong, so he had a little balloon, and they sit down like this, and he put the balloon there like that, which is a bit, you know, anyway. And one of the players had a long pink balloon, of course he sat there like that. So I just said, right, I'll tell you now, if you could actually put all your fears and anxieties and worries into that inside that balloon, inside this sphere, this object here, are your worries about the game. Okay, so fine. So my worries, you then lead, you say you're the first one, you say, right, my worries today are that you're going to go out there, you're going to freeze in the headlights, because it's a 6 o'clock kickoff, so someone's late, but you're going to freeze, you're going to let Celtic walk all over you. And Celtic are going to win 4 or 5-0, and it's going to be embarrassing. That's my worries as a manager. It's fine. So then you go around to the keeper, I said to the goalkeeper, Ryan, you know, what are your worries? My worries are that I'm not going to keep a clean sheet, I'm going to let the lads down and lose tonight. Fine. So you're looking to get honesty from the player straight away. And then you go to the next one, you don't want to let the players down. And of course, by the time you get around to the 18th one, he's just saying what the first one said anyway, but at least they're all having a say, and it's an outpouring of emotion. So you're making it very, very personal about the game. So I said, right, okay, fine, you've all said, you know, they've all been very honest in saying these things. This is why I don't want the cameras in the room. So I said, right, now, what would you say if I could take all those nerves and all that emotion, and all that worries, that anxiety away from me? And they'd be like, great. So I said, okay, fine. Burst the balloon. So they all burst the balloon. Even some couldn't burst the balloon. I think, what chance have you got tonight? I should have said, my main worry is that you're not going to burst the balloon. So they're all sitting there, and they're trying to burst the balloon, and they're flying everywhere, and they're all bursting in the end. And it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun, to be honest, because you're playing Celtic, but you think you're going to get smashed about 8 or 9-0. And all around me all around the players was debris and balloon punch. But what it did do, straight away, you could see the players rise up. You can see them rise up because it was like a weight had been taken off their shoulders. And I just said, right, scoop on the floor, that debris. That's all your anxiety and worries. Scoop it up, put it in the bin. So what are you worried about now? And they were like, oh yeah, it's good, it's true. So I wrote on the board 5 letters, annoy. Is it 5 letters? It's 5 letters. A-double-N-O-Y. English A-level failed me, but there. Annoy. And I said, right, I want you to annoy every Celtic player now. I want you to really go out there and annoy them, be in their faces, smash them, pass the ball around them, you know, really do your defensive work, block them, do all the things that you want to do, but annoy them so that they think of who the hell is it, who the hell is it. And I said, right, you know, that's what we're going to do. And that was basically my team talk to play against Celtic. Never mentioned about tactics, never mentioned about their players, never mentioned how good they are, how beat and run. Never did this, never did that. And what I did, I gave the players a focus. Energy, you know, all their anxieties and worries are gone. Annoy. Right, that's what we're going to do. And they went out there and they're absolutely tremendous. 1-3-2, could have been 4 or 5. Phenomenal. And in the end, it gives the title to Rangers. But you can understand why they want the cameras in the room now, because it would have been Inverness, Cali, Thistle 3, Balloons 2. I thought, better not. You can see that coming up. But no, so I didn't want to do that. So, but it's not, I recommend you do that to all your pupils, but it was just something that was a bit different and a bit special. And I think as well, if you're doing different things that they don't expect, like I say, get someone out, get another person out, do things like, if you do something like that, then footballers are like, or athletes and that, they like it all regimented and fixed. It's like routine. If you do something a little bit different, it makes them think, it makes them stop and think, well, hang on. And it takes them out of their comfort zone and challenges them, makes them challenged. So that's what we did in that game. I might run out of balloons next year at the club, but you can't do that too often in exercises like that, but every once in a while, it's just fantastic. Another thing we did as well, when we were going for the first division title 2 years ago, 2009, 2010, we're getting towards the end. It was about 7 or 8 games to go, and we were second or third. We were still a points behind Dundee. We were aiming to be the first club to bounce back from the Premier SPL to the first division in 10 years. No other club's done it in 10 years. So, Big D, David, said, get a flip chart. So I got a flip chart, and I says, right, I want you to, I wrote down the initials of every player. I want you to go up there, give them each one a pen, and write on the flip chart. Then we've got a certain amount of space, exactly what it will mean to you to win the league. What will it mean to you to win the league? So they all went up. I was actually surprised that some could write and actually joined up letters. It was very good. And it was then that became the focal point of the dressing room. Whenever we came in, you can see players go up and touching it, because that was that was the physicality, that was the physical title, that was it there. Not a trophy, but it was the flip chart, and everybody went up and touched it. It was great. It became a real focal point, and it actually drove them on, because it was like, right, I would point to it in team talks. Well, that's what we're talking about. Well, that's what it means to you today. Win the match. And it was wow. Do you feel emotion coming up there? I can feel it myself. It's great. So you try and make them, there's a tangible evidence, there's the title. The balloons, tangible, there's your nerves. Boom, gone. So you're making it a little bit easier for players. You're taking away a little bit of the pressure, a little bit of the anxiety. So I've just completely deviated from my subject here, but by changing your thinking. Change is good. I like changing. You can't be the same person all the time as a coach. You cannot go through the same things week in, week out, because players become bored. They need to be stimulated. Yes, they're stimulated by the opposition, and we have reports on the opposition about how good they are and all this sort of thing, which we show the players. I get the reports, I show the players. Players have copies that they see. Some clubs, and most clubs in the top flight, have DVDs. Each player gets a DVD of an opponent, but we can't afford that. We just have paper. So we just give them the paper and they read that. Some read it, some don't read it, and some no. But if you go, not to go through everything there, but if you can improve your performance, then you can change your life. And I think you've got to be subject. You've got to be able and be prepared to change, and be prepared to change yourself. They say that only wet babies like change. Oh, yeah. Thinking about your thinking, unconscious to conscious. Your unconscious, your subconscious will tell you that you can't do things in your mind as a player, and as a manager, as a leader. The subconscious will say, Celtic on a good run, 4 match unbeaten run, banging in goals. We played Aberdeen on the Saturday before we played Celtic, and we were hopeless. That was the Saturday after the Royal Wedding. I went into the press conference and I thought, I'll crucify my players in the dressing room, had a right go out and said nothing. I've got Celtic on Wednesday, we're going to get kicked 10-0. So I went in and sat down in the press conference and I said, right, the only thing I want to talk about today is Kate Middleton's dress. The press was all like that. I says, yes, because the game was rubbish, but what a great dress, wasn't it? I tried to talk about the Royal Wedding and eventually I had to come back and talk about the game. And I had a copy of the DVD and I said, right, I'm going back home because it's a nice sunny day. I've got a barbecue tomorrow on Sunday, and this is how I'm going to start the barbecue, by setting fire to this DVD in the barbecue. I said, that's gone, it's rubbish. Now we're looking forward to Wednesday in Celtic. And straight away after that game, it was right, gone, forgotten about. Now, we've got an exercise for you. A little exercise, not physical exercise, but okay. Think of the future, think of the past. Right? So you can see your future and you can see your past. Okay? How many people now, you just point to where your future is. Just point, just point. Point to where it is. What's your past? There's a lot bigger on there. There's your future and there's your past. I always think my future's there and my past is there. It doesn't matter, it doesn't make any difference where it is. So I'm saying, if you think the future's there and the past is there, okay, then just revolve that round 90 degrees. And just physically see yourself step back, so now you can see. So now you have a timeline. There's the past, there's the future. And I just say to the players as well, right, when we're in the present, which is in the middle, That's your past. You can't affect that. You can't change that. Nothing you can do now that will alter that. It's fact, it's written in stone. But what you can do is affect the future. Right? So you say, there's the past is gone, there's the future. And straight away, I'm now drawn, the actual body, when you actually do it and stand up and do it, your body gets drawn towards the future. So you get drawn towards the future. So now, you can affect the future. You can make that future fantastic. So what's gone is gone. What you're trying to get into players' minds is they've had a nightmare the game before, they haven't done particularly well, or run a bad run or whatever. Well, that's gone. Straight away, you're trying to distinguish that's gone. There's the future. That's how you affect that. And this is what we're going to do to ensure that future is good. So no matter, like, at several stages during the season, you have to stimulate players and make them, you can't do the same thing to all the time, so you have to do something different. So it's like, yeah, and you can go back. I mean, the worst leader for me is the one that dwells on the past and says that he didn't do this, he didn't do that, and he poor this one. If you tell people they're bad or poor, then they'll believe they are. If you tell people they're Pele or brilliant or Maradona or whoever they are, it's a bit over the top. But if you tell them that their strengths, tell them the positives, then they're going to feel good about themselves. If they feel good about themselves, they're going to play for you. Okay, getting there now. You want to sleep yet? Interested. The person asking the questions is controlling the conversation. Be interested. You've got to be interested and show interest and show energy as a leader, as a coach, whatever you do. Show enthusiasm, show desire, show passion. You've got to get the best out of your players. Individual athletes, you've got one focus on, say, a runner, or a sprinter, or a high jumper, or whatever. Basketball, you haven't got so many. Football, you have a lot. So you're focusing on people, but your energy that you give, your body language, the way that you move around, bang, I want to be strong. Come on, you can really hustle your body language, and all of a sudden players see that, and because we like to copy, players, oh yes, I'm ready for this now. On your toes. And that goes on the training field as well as it comes before a game. I love dressing rooms before games. I love being in there and seeing people's faces and seeing what they're like, and seeing their body language and seeing what they do. And there's things that are outside, yes, things that are outside can have an effect as well. Because we've got a whole mixture of players up in Inverness, and one of the players is a player called Ross Tokley, who's a big guy. Probably got the biggest head in British football, because he just has a big head for some reason. And it's like a magnet to the football. He gets the ball away as a centre half. Lovely, big, honest boy, fantastic. But he had a few problems at home. He had a few problems with the press, because he married. No, he's on his second wife now. He's not supposed to second wife. Well, he's about to marry his second wife, is it? And his girlfriend or fiancée, she's got a sister, a young sister, and a mother, father's away. So the mother's a bit ballooning. So the mother has attacked his girlfriend's sister. So they're living together. So his girlfriend has brought her sister. It's a complicated story. They brought her sister in. So anyway, it ends up in the papers. It ends up in the newspapers that the mother has attacked the daughter and there's domestic problems, and the mother's gone in and slaughtered Ross Tokley and his girlfriend. But Ross has done nothing. But the very fact he's a footballer in Inverness County Thistle, in Scottish football, the Sun thought it was good news, so they write a big story about it. But Ross came and told me, because he'd learned about these things before, and he says, it's not my, I haven't done anything about this, that's the family, it's a family issue, but because I'm a footballer, it's brought into the puzzle. So, fine. So I said, okay, look, how do you feel about it? He says, no, I'm not bothered, it's just annoying. I said, okay, fine. So we went out and played. I think we played against St Mirren 2 or 3 games ago. And we played in the game, and he got 2 yellow cards, and obviously a red card was sent off. And I looked at that afterwards, and I'm thinking, was he in the desired state? Was he actually in the zone? Was he really focused on the game, or did these underlying issues have a partner? Because he made 2 mistimed tackles, which is, he generally makes a few mistimed tackles in the game, but he made 2 particularly bad mistimed tackles and got 2 yellow cards and he was off. He actually played better when he was off. I wouldn't say it's a tactical thing to do, but we rallied around him once because we were on a good run. But just as a leader, sometimes things outside the game, things that you probably know a little bit about. But then you have to decide as a leader, is he out, is he in? You know, will it affect them? And that's getting to know your players as well and getting into the heads of the players. So I'll know next time if I see something in the sun that I want to play this particular player. But sometimes you have to make judgment calls on, are they in the desired state? Are they really, really focused on what they have to do? So that's another part of being a leader, having to make decisions and having to disappoint people. You have to be prepared to disappoint people. I've disappointed a lot of people, particularly those who've seen me play in the past, but I've had to say, I think it was 5 young kids this year in the escalators, I had to say, sorry, but you're not getting a professional contract. And I had to tell 10 players that they weren't getting a contract next year, and they were senior players. It doesn't give you any pleasure if you want either one of them, but the worst one is telling a young kid, sorry, I'm not going to take you on. Because these young kids, you see them grow, see them mature, see their characters, then you have to say goodbye. That's the hard part of the job. So you've got to be prepared to disappoint someone as a coach as well. I thought that was someone walking out there. Here we are, the circle of concern. On this side here, you've got the negativity. In here, circle of influence. So you've got to go, it's a bit like the desired state from the subconscious. Get into that circle of influence, get in there. Get rid of all this stuff and be focused. Now, it's an art and it's a skill, particularly it's difficult more with younger players because there's so much buzzing about it. But as a leader, what you have to do, you have to focus and really focus on what they have to do, what they're good at. Make them feel good first. Because if you feel good, you're going to do something. You're going to go, you can do this, you can do that. You're brilliant at this, and you need to get that again. It's fantastic. And you've got a good chance here. For younger kids especially, tell them that they are good at things. And if they feel good about themselves and get into the game, then they're fine. The more you talk about the opposition, the more that you give them energy. Here's a good one here. What are you? Managers. Do things right. You can read all the other stuff. Hopefully you can read all the other stuff, yeah. Like a short-term view, organising staff, emphasise tactics, structures. Yeah. That's pretty basic, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, this is what I'm concerned about here, leaders. Managers do things right, leaders do the right thing. Difference? Yes, big difference. Innovate. Do things differently. Develop, focus on people, have a long-term view. Emphasise philosophy, core values. Ask what and why. So I'm looking at leaders. I think we have leaders. And you look at some of the managers in the Premier League, they're leaders. Arsene Wenger. So Alex Ferguson. If you don't lead, if he doesn't lead you, then you get a hairdryer right in your face. So Alex Ferguson, one of his principal philosophies was, or still is, you do not lose to Liverpool. And every young boy, say like they're under 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, must wear black boots. It seems a small thing, but parents now have put 150 to 200 pounds on yellow, pink, purple, plastic blades boots. And blades are banned as well at Manchester United for young kids. They don't wear blades, which I think is great. So he's leading the club. He's dictating what's happening at the club. Particularly about beating Liverpool. Faith. Desire. You can't. That's not desire. It's not a bottle of desire. You can't actually touch desire. But desire is such a big thing. I'm in the process of signing some players from England. And they're going to come up to Scotland, and believe me, they don't come up for the money because we can't afford anything, but they're coming up because they've got a desire to prove themselves. They've been rejected at other clubs, they're playing in the lower leagues, they've got a desire to play in Scotland's top league because it can give them a real platform for the future. But if you haven't got that desire, as a player and as a coach, you're knackered. Skills and energy, desired state. Get rid of team terrorists. People that are going to talk behind your back, Barrett Rumor, as we used to call them when we played many years ago. Players that have too much to say for themselves, really big time players. Corpses, well, corpses means like players that just do nothing. There's a few of them. Spectators and everything stuff. So, is that. Language. I love language. I can't speak any other language, but I love language, the English language, and the way that you can manipulate the English language. I'll just give you some examples here. This was last August from Neil Lennon. You all know who Neil Lennon is? Yeah. I could make a joke if I'm not going to because of the camera about, so I mean, but anyway, lovely guy. Neil Lennon, lovely guy. Yeah. Neil Lennon said, if we lose an early, this is when they're going to play us. Because we played in the first game of last season, our first game back in the big time. If we lose an early goal, it flattens everything. It's important we don't concede in the whole 90 minutes, really, but there's not a mad rush to score. Does that stimulate you? What do you think about that? Oh, I was delighted when I read that. Where are we? Yeah, it's just before the season starts. Neil Lennon wants Craig Bellamy to come in and lift the gloom over Celtic Park after watching his side crash out of the Champions League at the first hurdle. So I was like, wow, this is brilliant. There's a crisis at Celtic already. Fantastic. This is what I said. I think I actually did say this, I can't believe it, whatever. There is such a difference to last year when I hoped we would do well. This year I think we are going to do well. And we want to finish as high as we can. I could never say we can win it, that's stupid. Yeah, not stupid, but we are still on a good run now with 21 matches unbeaten in the league. And I really know the squad now, and I'm saying I really fancy this. I really do get excited thinking, how far can this take us? We are where we want to be, and we want to enjoy it. The fun starts with a visit of Celtic on Saturday, a match that provides an early test of nerve for the visitors' new signings. Bloody good stuff, right? No wonder I was a star on 5 Live, but there we are. But see, a year ago or 2 years ago, I would never have said that. I would never have said that. I would have gone a lot more on the opponents, and I would have said, wow, fantastic team and new signings, and wow, I'm doing this and that. And I would have given energy to them, taken it away from my team, and made my team's chances harder. So I've got to be careful what I say in the media. I must be careful what I say in the media. So I'll say things to the media. I'm pretty boring now when it comes down to it. I'll say things to the media about fun, about enjoyment, about relishing the chance of going to Celtic Park. So we're playing Celtic away, going to Celtic Park, relishing the opportunity there. We've got a good record there in the past. We played there last year, drew 2-2, 2-0 down, came back. Fantastic crowd experience, brilliant for my boys. Really looking forward to it. Excellent game for us. Blah, 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 blah. So straight away, that's like, for me, it's positive because I'm really looking forward to it. There's energy there. Wow, fantastic. I can't wait for it. The boys may walk in the Celtic Park and think, oh my God, what was that? But they don't, because it's like we've planned it before. We know what we're going to do. We know the dress rooms. And what I'll do as well, I'll speak to them about the memories. Memories are great, particularly of good memories. And you've got to keep dipping back into good memories all the time. Remember that game, the young boys playing. Say the young boy from Libya. Remember that game 2 weeks ago when you did this, you did that. Remember that game? Fantastic. Think of that memory now. Do it again. On you go. And that boy will go, wow, I remember that. It was great. I'll go and do it. So straight away, it's a positive. Straight away, you're like, wow. You feel good. You feel good yourself now. No. I'm alive because I'm like talking positively. If you talk positively, your body, you become taller, you become stronger, you become quicker, you pace about, your energy. 5 minutes. 5 minutes of the point. Last 5 minutes are important as well. So you feel that energy. So you're saying things straight away. And I love it when people say, we're going to come up to Inverness. It's a tough place to go. It's a hard place, and they've got a good record there. They're a tough side, they're going really well. Wow, how does that make my players feel? And we get these and we put them on the wall. How does my players feel fantastic now because they're getting respect from the coaches. And in my programme notes, which I do write myself occasionally, generally, I'll just say it's a big welcome to Neil Lennon coming up with his team, and thanks very much, and I say blah, 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 blah. But I won't say how good they are or what they've done. Well done to win the league last year. I won't do that because if you read that, that gives you energy as well. I like to go in and read programme notes, what other managers have said before the game. I'll sit there in the toilet and read it or something. Someone said something, I'll use that as well. So you use all these kinds of things as well. And it just gets into players' minds, particularly before games, and during the week as well, about Saturday's game. Straight away after one Saturday's game, you think about the next Saturday's game. and you prepare them properly, and you're making sure that they're now, forget that one, the time, remember the timeline, time's gone, past is gone, think about the future, and straight away you build it up for the next game. And you build up the next game in a positive way, really positive. Everything you do is positive. You're doing your team shape, you're doing your tactics, you've got your fun games, everything's positive, nothing negative at all. See the people that do the video analysis and all that sort of thing. At top clubs, they have people that do analysis and they do that. I never show my players videos, DVDs, never. Because I can't be bothered looking through them, to be honest. Well, I should do as a manager, you should do, but I know what they've done, what they haven't done, they know as well, and it's about getting on the back on the training ground on the Monday and Tuesday, and taking them individually, collectively as units, saying, you know, this is what happened on Saturday, this is what we do to stop that happening again. So straight away you take a negative and you turn it into a positive. So everything's positive. So you put it that way. So everything you do. This is good for life, not just football, not just sport, but being positive. If you're negative, what's the point of being negative? Be positive all the time. That's what I say. Is it half full or half empty? Glass. Who says it's half full? Who says it's half empty? No, for me, it's neither. You're halfway to another glass, is what I say. Right, good. So we're nearly there. Where are we here? Words that are highly charged with polar opposites. Positive thinking is a reaction to negative thinking. What state do I want to be in to complete the task ahead? State of mind. That inner state, that inner feeling. If you've got a core positivity, that will come out and people will see that. So Alex Ferguson, he tells his players how good they are, what they can do, what damage they can do on the opponents, how many championships they've won, how many championships they're going to win. You know, really positive. I haven't got a clue what Arsene Wenger tells his players, because they've won nothing in 7 years or 6 years. So. But his philosophy is just keep playing, keep passing, keep moving, doing the things that you can do, and trophies will come your way. But I feel that you've got a target, like Darren Ferguson, pictures of Old Trafford around the restaurant. Give players that target, give players that. If I was Arsene Wenger, I'd take players out in the Emirates Stadium and I'd say, look, that trophy there, was it 2005, the last trophy? 2006, 2005? 2005. 6 years. Because they have all the trophies around the top. There's a stop. No more after that. So, right, add something to that. And that's your focal point. Something like that, just to make them focus in their mind, that's what they have to do. Here we are. That's just an exercise that you can do. I mean, he's got brochures and everything that I read. Can't sleep at night or read one of them, but there we go. Personal development. Inverness Kelly Pistol number 4. What are my primary outcomes for 6 months? And I'm nearly finished now, so what I say to my players and what I will say pre-season now, Big D came in and he said at the start of the season, he says, I'm speaking now to the team that's qualified for Europe at the end of the season. And I feel the players laughed at him. He says, what are you laughing at? If you do not aim for that target, if you do not think you can get there, then see the manager and go somewhere else. Now, he knew if you aim for European places, I think 3rd in Scotland, 3rd or 4th. If you aim for that, and there's clubs there that have bigger budgets than ours, much bigger budgets that can get there, or possibly should get there. If you don't aim for that, you're going to finish like that. So I hate managers when they come in and say, our target out of a 12-team league is to finish 11th. Well, if you finish 11th, you might say, well done. But you finish 11th, and it's a hard slog all year. He said, right, I want the European place. So we'll go for Europe, which is top 6. And if you don't get top 6, which is where we finish 7th. Equal the highest positional finish of Inverness Kelly Pistol in history. So, you know, you understand, if you don't push, shoot for the stars, then, you know, there's no point in it. If you're going to say, well, you know, we want to finish, what was it, 18th or 19th in the Premier League, or just avoid relegation, you will probably just avoid relegation, if not go down. So you've got to set your targets high and tell players that all the time and reinforce that. That's what we're going for, that's what we want to achieve. How are we going to get there? We're going to get there by doing this X, Y, and Z. And some matches I'll come in before the game and I'll say, right, how are you going to win the game today? You're going to work harder than the opposition. That's what you're going to do. Work harder than the opposition. That's it. Good luck. And the players go, well, what about them? So I've already named the team, you know the team, work harder than the opposition. That's a simple thing. And you know, sometimes it is about simplicity. Because you know, sometimes it is about saying they've got this, they've got that, and then players' heads become filled. Don't fill the players' heads with anything but positivity and simple. Nearly there, CJ, nearly there. And this is what we did with some of the players as well. We gave them sheets and they actually filled them in. What went well, top 5 issues, areas of development, what went less well. So what they wanted to do, we want them to do is identify a negative, identify a positive, right, what we're going to do with the negatives, how we're going to improve them, how we're going to improve the positives as well. So it gave them a little bit of reflection. I think that stopped after about 5 times, really there. And here we are. So the things that you say, especially to the press, the language you use influences and affects the way we achieve goals in life, don't you agree? I'll do it later, I'll get round to it. I think I can. I have to, I must, I should. How can I wish, I want, I need, I can, I choose, I decide to do. It's all the language. So, what I try and do now, that's what the players try and do as well. The players are cotton onto it very well. It's very good. Straight away now, it's not about, maybe I can do it, I will do it, I can do it. That's it. That's it. I actually said before the Celtic game, I actually wrote on the board as well as annoying. I said, they, dressing room through that, they, Celtic, Soap Dodgers, they believe they can do anything. We believe we can do everything. I said to the players, who said that? And the players were on about different people. I said, no, I just said that 2 minutes ago. I just made that up on the spot. I did, I made it up on the spot. But they were like, oh, they got kids. So, and there was one last one as well. You know the flying geese, remember, in Scotland we're lucky because you see all the geese flying south and then flying north again. You know the flying bees? Yeah. And they do fantastic if you hear them. When you stop training, you really what's happening. And then you'll see one peel away from the pack, from the formation. And you'll see 3 or 4 come with it and form another little V. And that little V then will struggle to get back into the pack. And really when you look at it, you say, why is that? They fly in a V. Do you know what they fly in a V? What are they flying a V for?
Protect themselves against the wind?
Yes. CJ, you're clever when you look. Very good. Protect themselves against the wind. It makes it less hard to fly against the wind in that formation because the wind disperses. So, but then you get one knackered bird, one tired bird. Oh, I can't do this with it. It falls out of the line. So what happens is, 3 or 4 others say, oh, man overboard, oh, down we go. And then they form a V. And then the injured one, or whether the tired one, will form part of the back. So they just work it back up into the pack again. So they work together. So I'm not saying we're going to be like geese, but it's like players help each other out. You're only as strong as your weakest element, you're only as strong as your weakest player. So therefore help, support, make sure they can help each other and get through this. Because the team will win the game. The best team will win the game. Individuals will score, individuals will make saves, and the team will win the game. So I hope you've enjoyed that. It's so hard for me to cram everything into what we're doing. But you see my energy, the pace about. I'm energetic. Yeah. You see me at 10 o'clock at night. But I'm energetic because I believe in what I do. I love my job. I absolutely love my job. But the best job in the world. People say I wouldn't be a football manager because the last job on there. But I love my job because I've got good people around me. I passionately believe in what I do. And I'm willing to learn. I'm 52, I'm still willing to learn so much about football, about language, and about positivity. It's absolutely brilliant. So, be positive. Parents, be positive. I'm sure you are. Don't be negative. Negativity is in the past. Timeline, in the past. Everything's positive. So, thanks very much. Take this away with you. If you try and get your...